Hello, everyone. Greetings and welcome to another Get to Know the Candidate. Today, I have the immense pleasure to host Mia. Mia Livas Porter. She is running for assembly here for the District 52nd. And she's going to tell us all about, her candidacy and more. So get cozy, call some friends, have your questions ready as Mia is going to join us in this conversation. So there she is. Hi, Mia. Welcome to Get to Know the Candidate. How are you?
Hi, Aura. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us. I am just so excited to just learn a little more about who you are and your story. So I know that my audience is getting cozy and getting ready to also ask you questions. So I want to encourage everyone to participate on the comments and also ask your questions with the question mark symbol in the bottom next to the comments if you are on Instagram. If you are watching from YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter, you can just add your comments and your questions on the chat. I also want to just give the disclaimer that I don't always get to ask all of your questions. And at the end, we share where you can connect with Mia so you can ask the questions yourself. So, welcome everyone, and let's just get started. Hi, Mia. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. It's crunch time. It's go time. I'm
I
doing well.
know, I know. It is definitely happening right now, and I have been. You are recently, somebody in my orbit, and I'm like deeply grateful for your work and for my audience that are watching right now. If you can share with us a little bit about who you are and your upbringing, and just introduce yourself to my community so that they can get to know you better.
Sure, absolutely. And Aura, I remember when I first heard you speak at an East Area Progressive Democrats meeting. I was really taken by how authentic and how knowledgeable you were. And I feel like over the past year, we haven't had a chance to talk much. So I'm looking forward to talking today. So,
Yes, that's the spirit. Excellent, excellent. Let's
women
do it.
supporting women. Yay.
Exactly.
So I am a mom of two boys, 14 and 10. I have been a resident of Elysian Valley in 8052 for 16 years. Elysian Valley is right by Dodger Stadium. And I actually came out to Los Angeles in 99 as an actor. And there were 5 years of strikes in the industry, and so I decided to pursue instead getting a degree in interior architecture. And during my studies, I had one kid, and then I finished my program 8 months pregnant with my youngest. And so
Mm,
when I graduated, I took some time off, and then when I went back out to try to find work, I couldn't find a job as a mom of two that would cover childcare. So unfortunately, we decided as a family to that I would stay home. We'd live off of my husband's freelance salary, and so I was lucky enough. I know many people can't. I was lucky enough to get to stay at home and raise my boys. And it was when my eldest, we were looking at elementary schools for him. We were touring 10, 12 different schools, and I couldn't believe that programs like music, arts, PE, that parents had to either fund them, raise
mhm,
$20,000 for them, or else they were non-existent. And so I
mhm.
found a local school that did have a music program and an active parents organization. I got involved, and I volunteered full time, like staying up till 2 in the morning to do whatever it took to raise funds and get these kids from a Title I school, whatever they needed, whatever the teachers needed.
Incredible.
And then in 2018, I got involved with Moms Demand Action after Parkland, and that's when I I had reached out to Moms Demand to join because hearing uh, hearing Emma Gonzalez speak after the shooting, and not even able to mourn. She was asking for the adults to do something. I felt like we were failing our kids.
Mhm,
So when I got involved with Moms Demand, my first team meeting, I had the realization that I was a survivor of gun violence. My brother Junior had died by gun suicide 30 years ago this year after battling schizophrenia for 5 years. And so that just pivoted my whole sense of purpose.
Mhm.
Mom's Demand taught me how to use my voice for change, and how it could inspire legislators to take action, how it could inspire survivors to come forward and share their stories. And so I found the power of my voice. And then, yeah, and so then in 2020, when I saw that the incumbent was running unopposed, and I had already been disillusioned with how she had been leading after voting for her in 2017,
Mhm.
um, it was one of those genuine, if no one is going to run, then I have to. And
Aha, aha moments.
yeah,
The
yeah,
aha moment. Yeah.
yeah. And I knew I couldn't understand why she didn't hasn't had a viable challenger in since 2017. And so I know that with my activism out in the community, and with my heart, and with I have the characteristics that we should be seeking in
Mhm.
our electeds: accountability, putting the district before our own personal needs, trying to be as much as I can a person of my word. That's very important to me. So
Yeah.
here we are.
Excellent, excellent. And you are also Filipino descent, which I don't think there's a lot of Filipinos in government or elected officials
That,
in California.
That's what's so crazy. So once I decided to run, I was doing research, and I found out that there has never been a Filipina in either chamber of our state legislature. So I would be the first, and it's about time. Filipinos have been in this country since 1500s. Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh, we need representation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was reading about you that you had a very tragic experience in your family, which also led you to become an advocate for gun violence and gun control and such. So I would love to, maybe at some point we can touch more about that specific instance in your life and how it's been that for you becoming, being an activist in this realm.
Absolutely. So, being Filipino, coming from a strict Roman Catholic family,
Mhm.
schizophrenia has a stigma. Um,
Mm,
Suicide has a stigma, and we're already very much a private culture, generally, and this is being generalizing, but we were taught what happens in the family stays in the family.
yeah.
And that destroyed me. As far as when my brother died, I was early 20s. I had been a singer and lost my singing voice to nodes. And then
Mm.
3 years after my brother died, my dad died of a broken heart from losing
Ugh.
his son. And so my 20s were horrendous, and it was like devastating. And
Mhm.
it shut me down. And I felt small, and I stopped using my voice. And that's why when I learned what I could do with my voice as an activist, how it could help others, I really felt empowered, and I felt a responsibility to use it, which is why I started taking on other causes after volunteering for the school. I was standing with our teachers. The LAUSD strike, environmental issues, and then gun violence prevention. But
Wow, incredible.
yeah, but I did see, that's the thing. It's too many families. Thankfully, the one light that I have seen out of COVID is that people are understanding how
Yeah,
critical mental wellness is, and that's been part of my sense of purpose. My drive is to bring awareness to the importance of mental wellness, as well as gun violence prevention, allaying
absolutely.
gun violence.
And it couldn't be more important to talk about these issues right now because of what we just witnessed in Orange County and Buffalo,
Yes,
what we see every day.
hate crimes.
Somebody is dying from gun violence. I mean, we see more and more white supremacy
Hmm.
really playing a role in hate attacks. So absolutely, I'm very grateful for your work, and that is something that I am not very involved, but I'm definitely a big supporter, and I really appreciate all the efforts, and I feel like we're not even nearly doing enough. But we can talk more about it when we talk about your issues. But I want to ask you about, you talked to us about who you were, who you are. You talked to us a little bit about why you're running for office. Tell us a little bit about your district. Who lives there? Where it is? So that whoever is viewing this, whether is watching right now or later, they can maybe tell their friends. Maybe they don't know, or maybe they live in this area and they don't know that you're running.
Absolutely. So one thing people need to understand is that with redistricting, it is actually effective as of this June 7th primary. So when people go online to see where is 8052, they're sent out to a map of Pomona. And so
Right.
yeah, so people have been like, "Hey, this doesn't make sense." So, the new 8052 is mostly 8051, represented by Wendy Carrillo, and the new parts include South Glendale, south of the 134, Atwater, Silver Lake, Los Feliz, and then it goes down to Elysian Valley, where I live, down to East LA, Mount Washington, Highland Park, El Sereno, and up through Eagle Rock. And so it's a great community. It's very diverse. It's right now the old 51 was 70% Latino. It's shifted down to 50% Latino, 30% Caucasian, and 15% Asian.
Mhm.
Um, and the old 51 was strictly like hard Bernie left. I think
Mm.
four precincts did not vote for Bernie in
Okay.
yeah. So we're solidly Dem, and it's just a matter now. People have a choice: do they want to support a corporate Dem or someone who's a grassroots, clean money candidate who will truly
Right.
advocate for them?
Right. 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 Okay. So, and your community is majority, I'm assuming, Latino or people of color. What is kind of like the demographics that make your district?
Now the new one is more 50 Caucasian, and then 30 Latino, and 15 Filipino, and then a small percentage of Black and Indigenous. And so it is diverse, though, and it's a huge demographic from more gentrified areas to more the more usually ignored areas that
Of color,
yeah,
high
exactly,
income. Hmm.
lower incomes that are usually ignored. So I think that this is actually going to be the sixth largest district in the state with 510 constituents.
Wow, that's
Yes,
incredible. That's
yes,
incredible. Wow.
yeah.
So, let's talk about what you want to focus on. So, what are the issues that you are focusing on in your campaign? What are your 3 or 5 main issues that are part of your vision?
Sure. So when I initially launched my campaign, I was coming from a place where my advocacy was rooted in gun violence prevention, education, and the environment. And those
Mhm.
three are still of utmost importance to me personally. And actually, over the past 14 months, it's been astounding that back to gun violence, it was an epidemic before the pandemic and it was exacerbated during. And so, like you've seen in Buffalo and Orange County and in Dallas, it only comes to people's forefront when there's a recent mass shooting, and yet mass shootings are only 4% of gun violence. And
Right.
and so this is people had told me over the past 14 months of campaigning, people, that's your personal, people don't care. I want to make people care and understand.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's don't wait until it happens to you, basically. And then for me, education, I firmly believe that the more we can invest and protect our children to grow up feeling safe and let them thrive, that we could we could alleviate and resolve a lot of issues that we're facing now, the division, the hate, all of that, because children are taught hate. And God bless you. God
Sorry about
bless you.
that. The allergies season is real.
So bad. I know. I feel crackly in my voice sometimes. Um, but yeah, so as especially as a mom, I just really believe in like raising our children right. And yet they're going to schools where they have active shooter drills. They're going to schools under trauma, under stress, and you can't learn when you are under trauma. And so we
Mhm.
have to figure out a way to get them back to feeling safe, secure, fed. And that's why I believe in public school equity, because you don't know who could be the next. My dad came from the poorest family, poorest province in the Philippines, and he rose from that to create a life in America. And because of him being able to do that with through education as a doctor, he brought his whole family, his sisters and
That is
brothers.
incredible. That is
I'm a
incredible.
Yeah, and then finally the environment, because
Environment.
it's not an option. Nothing else matters if we don't have a planet. So, a clean green energy now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, tell me about it. I've been working on this issue for
I
so long,
know. I really
and this
respect
has
it.
been so dear and to my heart in so many ways. And there's so many aspects of environmental justice that are, oppressing us, in my opinion, and especially low income people of color that live in most vulnerable areas with no parks and no green
Yep.
space, live next to freeways,
Yep.
and that already are experiencing other issues of relevance, like housing that is not adequate,
Yes.
lack of health care. I mean, we still don't have Medicare for all or a single payer.
Ugh.
So
And
that's
I
another, important issue.
and I feel like that's the difference between corporate Dems and grassroots progressive Dems. That, the corporate Dems are still holding on to or allowing the fossil fuel industry to puppet their strings, basically. And so that's why we are should be making so much more progress in California and setting the way for the rest of the country. And yet our hands are tied because of bought electeds.
Yeah. I mean,
And
and
you're
we
saying,
see it with the Democrats too here,
yes,
I mean, I am part of the Democratic Party. I'm a delegate and in the e-board. And I mean, we couldn't get the Democratic Party of California to stop taking fossil fuel money. They are
exactly.
going to take it at their discretion. So, it's quite sad to see that we're speaking from both sides of our mouth, that we
Ex-
want to portray that we are a green state, a leader in the environment, and that we care deeply for our planet. But then on the other side, we're allowing an industry to continue polluting and destroying our planet. So it's very challenging. It's a very challenging political landscape right now, here for us. So I appreciate that you have the environment as your, as one of your main topics. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. And also, as you mentioned, housing and healthcare for all, absolutely believe those are human rights. And those two are two dire issues with our district as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I invite candidates, especially first time candidates or candidates that are progressive, to my vlog, to my video blog, to speak about what they do and to share what their plan, what are some like the main things that they want to do, because I want us to also get educated about who you are, about issues that are happening, and for also to build relationships, with folks. So, okay, so I want to maybe dive a little deeper now in the conversation of gun violence and maybe mental health, because this is something that you
Yeah.
are a very strong advocate. And this is something that we're seeing happening in the intersectionality between mental health, racism, white supremacy, access to guns. I mean,
Yep.
let's just start there, because you can have mental health issues, but if you don't have access to a gun, I mean, it's a whole other, conversation. So, if you become elected, what are some of the things that you want to do in terms of, gun violence and access to, to, yeah, to guns? I have actually
Well,
a personal anecdote. I was talking to a friend that said, "Oh, yeah, California has the strongest provisions, but still, you can go and you can go and you can
there's still gun
be."
violence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, no, I have a friend that I was talking to him about this, and he said, in the pandemic, I wanted to buy a gun. I am not a gun person, but I went to the shooting range. I took, I started learning how to shoot guns, and I went to see how I can purchase a gun. And and literally, Aura, like, it was kind of like a joke. Like, anyone really can get a gun. You buy your gun, and 5 days later, you can go buy it. you know.
Right.
So even though we have like the strongest provisions, it's still not like enough. So in my personal opinion. So what are your plans to kind of do this type of gun violence prevention
Absolutely.
and mental health, I guess, is waving and these other, issues that we're seeing?
So let me throw some information first. From my experience in the gun violence prevention, I always say GVP world. So America, that every other country, they're trying to blame video games. They're trying to blame mental illness. They're all of these reasons. Every other country in the world has mental illnesses. Their children play video games. America is the only country in the world where gun violence, which is preventable, is run rampant. Did you know that by February 1st, gun violence in America surpasses any other peer country in 1 year?
That
So
is incredible.
the first freaking month of the year in America, more people die in America from gun violence than in any other country in a year. That is bullshit. I'm sorry. I try not to
Yeah.
swear when I'm campaigning, but it angers me so much.
It's wrong.
It really is. And when you combine hate, depression, um, uh, frustration, road rage, with a gun, it will be tragic and lethal. And that's what's horrifying, is that we can do things to curb it, and people are. The NRA, who has purchased many electeds, they just want to sell more guns. Aren't caring about gun safety. Their goal is to sell guns, and so yeah, absolutely. So there are things like they oppose universal background checks on all gun sales. Things like a waiting period, like there is a law where you can have a waiting period, but there's loopholes around it where, for example, the Charleston shooting at the Dylan Roof, the guy who was driven afterwards for burgers by the police. He actually would have failed his background check, and yet, because they didn't get the background check in time, they let him purchase his gun. Those loopholes should be closed. So, and what you were saying about your friend's comment, you're 100% correct. Same thing with Chicago. We, as a state, we may have the best laws, gun violence prevention. We are literally number one in the country with gun violence prevention laws, and we have the lowest amount of gun violence in California. However, we're only vulnerable. We're only as strong as the weakest neighbors, the gun laws of our weakest neighbors. So when there's been a gun show in Nevada, they cross the lines and there is likely to be a mass shooting. That's what happened at the Gilmore Garlic Festival. There was a mass shooting, they bought a gun. So as far as legislation, there are so many that are already in place that we need help. We need to amplify extreme risk protection laws, which if anyone considers you a threat to yourself or to others, it's a temporary restraining order, taking your gun away for a couple of weeks, I believe. I think it's within months. And people don't know about it. There was a shooting where, actually, where it came from was a Santa Barbara shooting. The mom of the shooter had told police, "I'm worried about my son. He is violent. He's aggressive. He has guns." She had told police, and then look what happened, shortly after. And that's where this extreme risk protection order came from. Also, as far as mental wellness, mental health, I believe firmly in investing in mental health first responders, not police who are ill-equipped. We need people who actually understand. There are programs in Oregon, Cahoots, STAR program in Denver, where this has worked and reduced police violence and deaths, suicide deaths, and it's effective. And there's actually Rebecca Bauer Cahan wrote a bill 988, which is a mental health hotline, and that would be connected to the mental health first responders. And then also banning ghost guns. It's outrageous that people can literally print out gun parts and make it at home. That's terrifying.
I know that is so frightening. I mean, talk about how technology backfires on us. The other piece to this, in my opinion, is that it takes a village. We
Yes.
all need to be vigilant about our friends, about our neighbors, about our cousins. Like, I mean, we all need to keep an eye on what's going on with people around us. I'm from Colombia, and in Colombia, culturally, we're very different. Everybody's kind of involved with everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody, everybody knows each other's business, and that can also be difficult. That has its disadvantages.
Same with
But also,
Filipinos.
everybody knows, and everybody's
Yeah.
like in the lookout. And when I moved to the United States, there is such a deep sense of isolation
Yes.
here. Loneliness is killing people, and it's
Yes.
making them do crazy things.
Yes.
And we have rhetoric also in media. We have like the more conservative media really utilizing their medium to spread hate,
Mhm.
and violence. I mean, there is so many things I'm seeing in the comments. A lot of people are saying we need peace. These folks are terrorists in some cases. you know some people are talking about music, and how can music also can be quite violent.
But
you know
again, every other country has a version of rap or what have you. I'm presuming. I don't know that for a fact, but
I
like
mean,
everyone
yeah.
else has music. You know what I mean? Every other country. Those are how do you say that? They're like you're just passing the buck off on blaming those video games, music, movies. But
Hmm.
really, it comes down to having respect for a weapon. And that's one thing I want to be clear. Gun violence prevention movement is not about taking away guns. It's about responsible gun ownership, educating, knowing the laws of safe storage, making sure that people who should not have access to a gun do not get it. Um,
Uh-huh.
and there was a point that you were saying about. About community. Yes, absolutely. It's all gun violence. The solution, there's not going to be one clear solution, and it's all intersectional. Did you
Hmm.
know this is the one fact I love sharing with people because it blew my mind when I heard it? Lower income communities, just by planting a garden in a lower income community, it has been proven to reduce gun violence because the
Yeah.
people, it gives me goosebumps, it makes me emotional because the people in the community feel seen, they feel invested in.
Connected. They have
Yes,
a purpose. Oh my God.
yes.
So many of us out there with no purpose is sad. Yeah.
Yes, and even the whole like what you were talking about, the isolation, coming from Chicago where we strongly rely on public transportation. You see people in your day to day.
Yeah.
This culture of living in your cars was hard for me to get used to
It was
when I
it
first.
was terrible for me. It was
Yeah.
very depressing. I came from New York, and I was in the train with Wall Street people and street vendors. Like all of us were together, and it
It's
was
like
cool.
yeah, and it's like the eye contact or something, and that's missing. But that's why I love the idea of having livable communities where we greenify, like the beautiful boulevards project in Eagle Rock, where we try to centralize and have, like Culver City, they are kind of doing this now, where there's a
Yeah.
downtown area walkable, and the more we can do that with our Northeast LA district, oh my gosh, I just love the idea of like being able to walk down and feel like I can. Let's go spend Friday night down on Colorado Boulevard and sit outside, and there are trees.
And enjoy it. Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
absolutely. All right, I want to reset the room a little bit. Hi, everyone. Welcome if you're just joining in. I am speaking with Mia Livas Porter, who is running for assembly in the District 52 in California. We have already covered who she is, some of her priorities, where her district is. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them on the chat. If you are in YouTube, Facebook, just put them in the chat. Also, and Instagram has a special little question mark box and next to the comments where you can ask your question. So, feel free to ask questions. But I'm seeing a couple of things. I want to ask you some other stuff related to what's like to run for office as a woman of color.
Oh,
And
sure.
that's a topic dear to my heart because I was a woman of color running for city council with no money and with the support of my neighbors and my friends, and it was an incredible experience, but it was quite hard. So but I also want to say somebody, Kurt, is on Facebook offering to support you and provide support to grassroots. We're willing to provide 25 phone banking volunteers.
Oh
What?
my gosh, yes, please. We actually need more help with phone banking. We are rocking it on text banking and we're hitting the streets door to door. It's phone banking. That would be amazing. Thank you, Kurt.
There you go. So I think you guys can follow up with each other on Facebook. I think he's in Facebook, but I'm assuming he's also can follow you on Instagram, and you guys can connect. Kurt is such an incredible force of nature. My goodness, an
So nice
amazing
to meet you.
activist and supporter. So there it is.
Thank you,
This was
Kurt. So nice to meet you.
this is why I love about being online and doing these live streams, because you just never know who's watching, and it's gonna have an amazing, impact in like something that you're doing. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. I am not this tech savvy with like the lives and stuff, so I totally like have mad respect for you doing this all. You're so pro at this. Yeah, that's my one of my deficits that I need to get better on, but thank you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay, so to the topic, and folks, feel free to come and chime in. I mean, Instagram is on fire. I don't see a lot of movement on the other chats, but I just wanted to mention thank you so much for participating. Um, so I wanted to ask you, what's your experience been like to run for office? Like, what has been like the most challenging part of your candidacy so far, if you can share with us? And be candid. I think part of it is that people are so hard with elected officials, and they don't know how hard it is to actually get elected.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, what are some of the most challenging pieces or parts for you to about running?
I really appreciate this question because you don't get to say it out usually. It's true. So, because you always have to have the pretense of like, I've got this, you know.
Yes, great. And I got it together. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So let's see. Okay. Again, being Filipino, I was raised. So I'm older, and so when my parents came, they came in the '60s. There was like a medical call out to overseas Filipinos to come aboard, healthcare workers in the
Mhm.
late '60s, and then I was born in the '70s.
Mm.
And my parents had 4 kids that they left behind when they first tried to make roots here. And so when they were able to bring their family, when we were all settled here, they were taught by their friends, don't speak Tagalog and just blend. That's your job, just to blend.
Assimilate. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a very immigrant. Yeah.
Exactly. So I lost a lot of culture. So of my culture, I didn't learn the language well, but also that mentality of like just blend, and they weren't political. They voted for Reagan. He had that razzle dazzle
Oh
that they.
yeah, 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 yeah. A lot of Filipinos became
Yes. You know why?
Republicans. Yeah,
I think
Reagan Republicans. Yeah.
I think it was because of the economy, because that was their main focus as
Uh-huh.
first gens, that they were like,
Immigrants. Yeah.
make money. So they didn't never taught me how to advocate. I learned how to advocate even in school for myself. And then that's something that I wanted to impart on my kids. So basically, as far as challenges running as a woman, it was overcoming my personal issues of like, I'm the worker bee. I know how to make things happen. I love like running events, blah, blah, blah. And to get out in the front was, even though I was an actor, I still have like, it's me out there. And that there's very much a vulnerability to put
Mhm.
your bare soul out and let everyone attack you. And coming from a world where with Moms Demand Action, everything I did was oh my God, thank you so much. I appreciate so much for what you're doing.
Right.
It was all like, and things fell into place.
Love and kindness.
Yes. But running for office, that was one thing that literally like punched me in the face. I was like, I'm never going to make everyone happy. And it was not only like I'm going to always let somebody down, no matter what. And I'm such a people pleaser that was a hard thing for me to reconcile.
Right.
And then as a woman, everyone and their mother thinks they have the best advice for you. And I'm somebody.
Yeah.
Ah,
A lot of mansplaining.
yes. And it's not even necessarily from men, but it is like everyone's like, you need to do this and this and this. And again, I want people to feel heard, but at the same time, it was hard to sift through and realize that I just need to trust my gut and
Mhm.
and follow my own path. And then the other thing with being a female candidate, I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting, but the other thing with being a female candidate truly is the being vulnerable, feeling
Mhm.
like literally, do I have to worry about my kids at school getting attacked because of I'm running for office? Do I have to worry about
Yeah,
going
like
to
the recognition is a blessing and a curse,
yes.
both.
And
Yeah,
my kids didn't sign up for this. We talked about it as a family, but anything that is on me, I don't want them to be attacked for it
right.
because that's not their responsibility. But even like canvassing, sometimes it makes me nervous to canvass on my own, which is where I'd rather it's the physical. And I've heard so many horror stories of other female candidates running now who have been harassed, who have had people taking pictures outside of their homes. Like it's
I know. I seen other
maddening.
female candidates right now, and it's so sad. The
Yes.
bullying.
Yes, yes.
Oh
It's
my God. I'm
intimidation.
like, oh,
It's literally intimidation. And you know what? This happened on a call, an endorsement call, where the incumbents people were attacking me. It only
uh-huh,
made me angrier. And I
uh-huh.
lashed back, and then I was like, gloves off. What about this, 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 this?
Oh,
So it's hard, but I do worry for my family's physical safety, but then also like the
yeah.
backlash.
Well, so I'm glad that you're bringing this up because I'm, not running right now for office, but I do experience some level of bullying because of my ideas or what I stand for. People come now with a discourse of like, let's agree to disagree, but like, I'm taking you down, kind
Yeah.
of like attitude. The other piece that has been happening to me is that people take my pictures from Facebook or Instagram, mostly from Instagram, and then Photoshop my body naked and post them in the internet.
No, my
Yeah.
God.
And then there is, they post them in 4chan, which is like
Yeah.
is this anonymous forum where like the Proud Boys and like the right wing kind of people, more conservative people, they're kind of associate and
Yeah.
talk in these forums. So they put me there, and recently actually they put some other coastal woman that I know, and I tipped her off. I said, "Listen, this is happening. This is not the first my first rodeo, in fact." But they do that, and then it's a lot of like sexual slurs and
Yeah.
also racial. So it's about me. I don't even want to go into it, but that
Oh, I'm so
happens, and
sorry.
it's just it's just kind of have been so impactful to me. I mean, people can say whatever they want. I don't care. But like now, even if I even like remotely when like when I go on my bicycle, for example, like, and I want to take a picture like riding my bicycle in shorts, I'm always like now triple conscious that
Yeah.
somebody's gonna take that picture and turn it into something like very like hypersexual. Yeah, so it's like it's sad, but that happens too. So I feel there's
Ugh.
so many levels of harassment that women have to go through when they're running for office that men doesn't have to think about. Like I just don't know if the first candidate or elected official that somebody puts their pictures naked on the internet. I just so like
Oh my God.
the other piece, to me at least, the other piece that happened was that I just never knew, especially with males coming into my campaign, I wasn't 100% sure if they really wanted to be helpful to my campaign or if there was some other agenda, because we're just women. So I don't know if you kind of well, you're kind of like a mom, I'm single, so it's just like all these other things that you have to think about. And
Yeah.
I like to remind people about Me Too. It's still like harassment, and like we are
Oh,
exposed because we're public. We're exposed to so many other things than male candidates. So I definitely see a lot of that like being different,
my dear,
for us.
I think I got bumped off of the Instagram.
Yeah, I think maybe you are
It said
your
it said it
internet.
ended.
Oh, really?
It's pretty solid, but it said it was ended. So is there a way
I
to
mean,
add me
I'm
back
still
on?
going. I see that you left. Okay, I'll bring you back up. But
Okay. Okay.
if
And then
you're
I'll
on
respond.
Instagram, if you're on Instagram, come back. Okay, let's see.
There we are.
All right, we're
Okay.
bringing
And then
Mia back. There we
thank
go.
you.
There, you're back. You're
Sorry,
back. You're
dropped
back. You're
off.
back. You're back. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I am. First of all, I hope you do run again. I think we need your voice. I really do hope you do run again. We do. And we need progressive voices and we need more female male voices. And what I have loved about this class of progressive candidates is that we all do kind of have each other's back and
Yeah,
watch each
we
other.
definitely support each other. We're
Yes,
like
yeah,
in each
I
other's
love
room.
that. I love that. But yeah, as far as the that is what is so horrendous and why we can't have a bottom line, a foundation of where we can all find common ground is because you could literally support the sky is purple and you could find something on the internet to support that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there is so much misinformation
Mm-hmm.
out there that will support whatever.
Disinformation. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, disinformation, yes,
Yeah.
and as far as the sexual harassment, it's insane how, yes, people will find it and they'll believe it, and it's almost like, planting even if it's not true, it plants a seed of doubt, and for whatever reason, whatever they're trying to attack you, and that's what is people have to do their homework. They have to be responsible voters and do their homework, follow the money, and realize, that's what I'm anticipating. I'm because right now, my incumbent has not been very much on the attack mode lately, and so I'm anticipating like bad, um, dishonest mailers, what have you. I'm
Mm.
anticipating that. And then as far as the pictures, going back to that, no, nobody wants to see me. That's okay.
Oh my
You're
God,
very
yeah, that's funny. Well, I mean, who would have thought that? I mean, I don't think I'm that interested. I mean, like my
oh, you're
pictures
stunning.
hiking. I mean, they're cute. Like, this is like my regular life. Or like, I'm sitting at the beach. I mean, come on. Everyone should be, allowed to just express who they are.
Like, we
But yeah,
shouldn't life is so freaking hard enough. We shouldn't have to censor ourselves. We should be able to
censored.
embrace who we are and be proud of who we are and share our authentic selves. And yet people have all of these layers of like, I've got to, have this pretense or whatever. And so that's where you don't get to know the real people. And I
Right.
think we're reaching this pinnacle now where people are done with the BS and they're seeing through. I think we are getting there where we're realizing we really have to start having grace for each other, having empathy for each other. I think people are done with the hate. They are done with the division. And so we are rebounding towards, I think, a more hopeful place. I believe it. I hope so.
Oh, well, awesome, awesome, awesome. I guess I'm like now thinking about these forums. It's just so depressing.
Oh, I'm so
Yeah, I know. I mean, the commentary is insane. But I want to ask you because, yes, it's hard to run for office. Yes, the fundraising is hard. Yes, the attacks are hard. All the other trolls are hard. Um, what do you enjoy the most about running for office?
um I think truly feeling like whenever I get to meet voters and they can share their stories, they can share what they're going through, and they are so grateful just to have someone listen to them
Yeah,
because no one has ever gone down to hear their stories before, or no one has ever gone to care or respond to, any attempts to call or reach their offices. There is, you probably know Vista Hermosa, the oil wells in our
yeah.
district. Yes. So Vista Hermosa is down by downtown LA in our
Mhm.
district. And for those who don't know, it's the site of the first oil wells. And actually, in the 30s, I believe, it supplied, I think, 20% of the world's oil from Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And what they did was rather than responsibly cap them, they literally threw the equipment into the ground and
Yeah.
dirt over it. People don't know this. And so for decades, this community, which is there are schools, there are parks, families, mostly Latino families. They were suffering from health issues, from asthma, cancer, problems with struggling with birth problems.
Mhm.
Um, and because these uncapped oil wells weren't properly sealed, so it wasn't until I was able to go reach out last year and connect with some of the advocates there about these oil wells, and they were so appreciative that somebody took the time to listen. So
Right.
it's that's the thing, you know,
I
we're
know the human connection is so awesome. It's like really what
yeah.
inspire you to keep going when you're running for office. That's for sure.
Yeah, and, like, yesterday, I did a call. I was doing some get out the vote calls, and I had a 45-minute call with somebody who was an independent, and
Uh-huh.
he was a gun owner,
Oh,
and at first, he was, like, yelling at me, and he's like, "Yeah, but what about this and this?" And then I would counter with some gun violence prevention, or gun violence, stats that I'd shared earlier, and he
conversation.
would
Yeah.
be yeah, and he was like, "Oh, okay, so maybe okay, I understand that, so maybe we are on more closer than we think." And
Yeah.
that was, like, for 45 minutes. He was
Wow.
so appreciative that I took that much time to talk with him, and that we ended the call finding some, like, we were closer together. That's what we need to be doing
Wow,
across the board.
incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible,
yeah.
incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, I think this is the end of our time together. And I want to just maybe if you can share with my audience how they can get in hold of you or if they want to support you, how they can support you.
Absolutely. So, our website is miaforassembly.com, MIAFOR, assembly.com.
Yeah, and if you see it on Facebook, it's being like
Oh,
people
yes,
people can
thank you.
see it. People can see it. I'm gonna post it right now on Instagram so people can
Thank
look
you.
for it.
Yes. And so they can learn more about our campaign, our vision for California. They can volunteer. The next 2.5 weeks are critical to trying to reach every voter with door knocking, phone banking, especially. Um, and if they can help, you know, as a grassroots campaign, we're not taking corporate fossil fuel money. Anything they can do with a small donation of any size,
Right.
it'll help us reach more voters.
Awesome,
Thank
awesome. And yeah,
you.
you have a lot of fans, you have a lot of people
Aw.
loving you. Well, I want to thank you so much for having the courage to run. Thank you so much for taking the
You.
time to meet here with us. Good luck. Election day is on June
7th. 7th.
7th, June 7th. But if you are in the state of California, which we're here, you probably have your ballot already mailed to you. Do not wait. Just fill it out, kiss it goodbye, and send it from the comfort of your home. Give it to the mailman or the mailwoman or the mail person.
May
Yeah.
23rd is the last day to register to vote.
Oh, there you go. If you
Yeah.
are one of those lockers, you still have time to register to vote, which is amazing. So there you go. You have a few days. And you know what? I'm going to make a little post about this. Thank you for the reminder. If you were like, forgot about, did you forget something? You forgot to register to vote. Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Mia, so much for being with us. We'll have you hopefully back on the next one. Keep up the good work,
Thank you.
and we'll talk to you very soon.
So lovely talking with you today, Aura. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. And that was Mia Livas Porter running for assembly. And I will post this live stream so you guys can share it and watch it with later or with other folks that you might know and send it around. I'm gonna have a few other get to know the candidate on Friday. I'm gonna have Daniel Lee, so stay tuned, and he's gonna share with us his run for Congress. All right. So the conversation doesn't end here. We can continue talking on the comments and on the chat. And don't forget, election time is now. And of course, as always, please stay and keep and get involved. Thank you guys. And I'll talk to you guys very soon. Bye bye.